Hi friends, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you clicked on today's video. By the title, by the thumbnail, you girls already know what we're going to be talking about today. I haven't sat down in the longest time to do a monthly wrap up, and you guys have spoken. I've seen your comments, I've gotten your DMs. You guys miss the monthly wrap up. Truthfully, I just haven't been reading as much this year, so you may notice that I'll do one big wrap up every few months, or I'll do a wrap up in a lifestyle vlog. But now that we are entering the best time of year, the best months of the year, it's cozy season and I am so excited for it. Cozy season is definitely the time of year I read the most. I thought it'd be a really good time to kind of start getting back in the routine of doing monthly wrap-ups. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about all the books I read in the month of August as well as my September TBR. If you girls remember last month's TBR video, I actually let mini books choose my TBR. I was going to do that again this month, but I ultimately decided to pick my own books just because there were so many brand new releases in August and early September that I just knew I wanted to be on my September TBR, honestly. So I decided to pick my own TBR for this month, and I am so excited. I'm looking at it right now and I just feel like it's gonna be a really great reading month, girls. It is such a cozy, good mix of books we got in there. I thought we would start with the books that I read in the month of August. As you can see, I only read 4 in total. This one is on the chunkier side, so most of you already know, but August was a very eventful month for me, so I only got around to reading 4 books in total. We are going to start the video off with talking about these amazing books. I think they were great books to honestly close out summertime. We have some really good, solid summer books in here. Also, if you're new here, every book that I talk about in these wrap-up videos, I have covered in a video somewhere on my channel. So if you want any extra details on any of the books I'm about to talk about, go check out previous reading vlogs of mine, because I promise you these books are somewhere in there. Starting off strong, we have Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. When I went into this book, I actually had heard of Trisha Levenseller before, but I didn't know this was like her debut book. I'm just gonna start off by saying this was a 4-star for me. It's very, very close to being a 5-star for me, but I ultimately kept it at a 4-star just because it was kind of on the shorter side, and you know when you're reading a really, really great book and then it just kind of feels like it's a little bit rushed at the end and you're just craving more out of it. That's basically what happened in this, and I love this book so much that I just wanted more of it at the end. So I ultimately decided to give it 4 stars, which I know kind of doesn't make sense, but in my head it does. There is a second book to this as well that I do really want to read, but I don't currently own it and it's not currently available on Kindle Unlimited. It's going on my list of books to possibly pick up next time we go book shopping. But Daughter of the Pirate King, wow, I thought this was such a fun book to pick up during the summertime because it is pirate based, and when I think of pirates and I think of Pirates of the Caribbean, I think of summertime, I think of the Caribbean, I think of beaches and the water, obviously, because pirates are always on the water. So I feel like reading this book during the summertime was just perfect, and it also gave me like that perfect dose of fantasy that I was craving, especially in the month of August as we are kind of drifting out of summer and going into fall time. This was just so perfect. I bring up Pirates of the Caribbean mainly because people say if you love those movies, if you love those storylines, if you're a big fan of Captain Jack Sparrow, you will devour this series, because our FMC in this is basically the female version of Captain Jack Sparrow. Our FMC in this though is Aloza, and she is the daughter of the Pirate King, who is basically on a mission to find this top secret map that will basically lead them to this unlimited treasure, I believe. So Aloza goes undercover to basically get onto an enemy ship to hopefully locate this map for her father, but along the way we kind of see a bunch of little hiccups happen naturally, and we slowly watch Aloza fall for one of the enemies in this, and I love that storyline. I love when we have 2 characters who are sworn enemies. They're not supposed to like each other. I love when we see them like fall in love. I don't know, I think that's so fun. I love the high stakes to it. I love the emotion that we get out of those type of relationships because it's a lot of will they or won't they, and this book was everything I could have wished for and more when it came to that. Aloza does a pretty good job though on getting onto her enemy ship to locate the map, and basically she starts her hunt for this map, but along the way we do see her kind of get a little mixed up with the captain's brother Raiden. I just thought it was such a fun, action-packed book. I love that we get a little bit of romance in here. While it's not the main idea of it, it's more of like a subplot to it. It was so fun, and as you read on, you also find out that there's deeper secrets that Aloza is actually hiding, especially in connection to her mother. And it is such a well thought out written book. I absolutely love this, and I can't wait to jump into book 2. Truly, next time I go book shopping, I really want to pick it up because I definitely want to keep the story going while it's fresh in my mind. But 4 stars though, if you love Pirates of the Caribbean but you're looking for a badass FMC, this one's definitely for you. The next book I read in August is Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. I thought this obviously would be a great read for summertime because it takes place in the summertime. It takes place at a summer camp, which I thought was really cool. The first half of this book probably on pace to be more of a 4-star for me. This starts out with our FMC Scotty though. She works in a very male-dominated field, and they all happen to be happily married, and it's kind of all they seem to talk about at work. Scotty kind of starts to feel left out and out of place. You know, some of her co-workers tend to tease her and stuff like that, so she ends up getting herself into quite a pickle one day when her boss is visiting. Scotty it's honestly quite crazy how she gets herself so deep into this lie, but she ends up lying about her personal relationship to her boss, and she says that she's married, but then someone calls her out for not wearing a wedding ring, and Scotty then goes on to say that she's married but it's not the best or healthiest relationship, and that her and her husband are actually having issues. Little did Scotty know that her boss's husband is actually a marriage counselor, so she really pushes Scotty to go to this counseling session with her husband, and Scotty now has like 24 hours to find a fake husband. How she does it, it's not as complicated as I thought it would be, but she somehow comes up with a fake husband, and she attends this counseling session with him, and that is really just the start of a crazy story, a crazy summer, which brings us to our MMC Wilder. He is our fake husband in this story, and he is very interesting. His whole character I was very fascinated with. He has a very wealthy background, but you would never really know that about him unless he told you. For most of the stories, Scotty doesn't necessarily know that part of him. One of the first things she does find out about him is that he is very much into improv, coming up with stories and things right on the beat. So when they go to this counseling session, Wilder ends up getting them into a very sticky situation. He takes his improv a little too far, and he ends up getting him and Scotty stuck at like a week-long marriage camp. And from there, that's when our story really starts to take off. We learn so much about Scotty and her backstory. I really like how Megan Quinn touches on very real-life topics in this, and I think the way she writes them is really amazing. And it's the same way for Wilder. I feel like he has a very heavy and sad background that we also tackle a lot in this. I think it's really funny how they end up getting into this mess where they have to go to a marriage camp for a week, and they literally don't even know each other, but nonetheless they agree to do it, and you know, they try to play it off the whole week, and a whole bunch of stuff just kind of unfolds for them. Overall, I thought this was really cute. I think it was really funny, but it still has that, you know, emotional side to it, and we do tackle some really heavy and serious topics in it. What kept this at a 3-star for me though, instead of being a 4-star, is definitely some of the scenes and language in this book. This was my first Megan Quinn book, and I know she's a very popular romance author, but I just didn't know this was her type of writing style. I think the storyline was written beautifully. I think our characters were written beautifully, but there was just certain points where I was like, I didn't need to know that. Maybe just a little bit too high on the smut scale for me. Overall though, this was very cute, and I was living for the humor in it. I literally was laughing out loud with so many scenes in this, especially with Wilder because of his improv. He just comes up with the craziest but funniest things right on the spot. Overall, a really fun and cute way to end out the summertime. Next up, we have King of Envy by Anna Hong. This is an author in a series that I talk about a lot on my channel. You guys already know it's book 5 in the Kings of Sin series, which I have been reading along as they've been coming out. I do have to say I liked book 1, 2, and 3. Book 4 was very very iffy for me, and book 5 was also very iffy for me, which was surprising because it was a storyline and characters that I was very excited to read about. But at the end of it, I was just kind of let down, which is kind of sad. This ended up being 3 stars for me though, and I just want to preface this with I love Anna Hong and her writing style. It's a very easygoing, fast-paced, and addicting writing style in my opinion. For me personally, I'll pick up one of her books and I will fly through it probably within a day. With this book right away, it was an instant red flag. I didn't do that with this book. It actually took me a couple days, I want to say, to finish it, and I just feel like, and this is totally my opinion when it comes to romance, I just feel like though this was so long for a romance book. We were pushing a little bit over 500 pages, and I just get really bored when romances tend to be over like 300 to 350 pages because I feel like there's only so much you can do and put into a romance. So that ultimately is the main reason why this ended up being 3 stars, just for the length of it. I feel like there was a lot of really boring filler content in here that we didn't necessarily need, and also I feel like I didn't get enough of our 2 main characters to like give me that like, oh, I'm obsessed with them and their story feeling. This is all about Vuk and Anya though. We get a bunch of breadcrumbs of them throughout the first few books in the series. I was really excited for his story. The little scenes and snippets we get of him in the first few books, you're just left so curious about him. He's a very quiet, mysterious man, and I was so excited for this book, and then when I got to it, I was just very bored and let down. I do feel like a big component to that is that with Anna Hong's books, I feel like the majority of the stories are very similar to one another. It's kind of like the same crazy plot twist. As you read on through her books, they definitely get more and more predictable. This one, ultimately, I like the storyline. I like that Vuk kind of came from this dark, mysterious past that involves spies and assassins. And then our FMC Anya is a model, but her agency is very sketchy, I guess you could say. For the most part, this just felt like a very big repeat of multiple books of hers. So I was just really bored with it. I was a little let down, and I just kind of wanted more in the romance department. I also feel like the way their story starts out, not my favorite way to start out a romance, but nonetheless, this was still okay enough to be a 3-star for me. I think it was a really cool type of storyline, but again, if you're familiar with her past series, it's kind of like reading a slightly different version of past books of hers with different characters. Basically, just nothing too new or eventful in this one. I'm hoping the next one is better. I will say the first 3 books in this series were very fun and I really enjoyed them. Last but not least, we have a 5-star from August, and I feel like this is a book that probably wouldn't be 5 stars for most people, but what I really needed at that time was just a fun, silly summer romance, and this book delivered all the way. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was cute and silly, it was corny, and I was really just craving it at the time, so that definitely contributed to it being a 5-star. And then of course it was very heavy on the books and bookstore vibes in it. We have Booked for the Summer by Catherine Freeman. First of all, this cover is just so cute. I feel like it is screaming summertime. The setting actually is on Nantucket Island, which I feel like was so perfect, and the vibes in it were immaculate. The way the author really set up the story and the setting and the scenes, vibes, absolute vibes. I literally felt like I was in Nantucket reading this, and it was the best. Book for the Summer though is all about a girl named Jade who is, I believe, from England, and she takes on this job in Nantucket to basically run this cute, cozy coastal bookstore, and Jade ends up taking the job to get away from her hometown and really work on finding herself, figuring out what she wants to do in life. But when Jade arrives in Nantucket, she ends up running into a very handsome stranger who is our MMC Liam. Liam actually is a multi-millionaire or billionaire, and he runs one of the biggest hotels on the island. When she meets Liam, it's a very funny meet cute. She ends up having a really great time with him, and then she starts her job, where she then finds out the bookstore is set to get demolished and replaced with more housing and hotels. And on top of that, she finds out that the person behind it is none other than this handsome stranger that she met a few nights prior. So the story starts out really cute and fun, and then we kind of get into this weird situation where Jade is like, why do you want to get rid of this perfect, cozy little bookstore? It almost goes from being like a friends to lovers to enemies to lovers. I find in the story that it flip-flops a lot, but it is so fun, and the setting and environment they're in is so beachy and summery. This ended up being 5 stars for me because I thought our 2 main characters were so funny, but they also had really great dynamics to themselves. They both have very interesting backstories, especially Liam. His backstory is so like heart-wrenching, but as you kind of learn more about him, you like soften up for him. I just thought the dynamic range to his character was really great, and also just like how he evolves as a character throughout the story, as well as Jade. They both grow so much and change in the best way possible. So I love the romance in this. I loved the comedy aspect. There's definitely a really good sense of humor in here where I was laughing out loud and, you know, just getting like that fun little butterfly feeling. And then the cherry on top for me was definitely the fact that it revolved around this cute little bookstore in Nantucket. It is so heavy on that in the story, which I really like. Such a fun and cute summery read. I love this so much. I definitely want to check out this author more and see if she has other books out and what they're like. I also feel like while I was reading this, it kind of was hinting towards being maybe a series or having a second book involved. I'm definitely going to keep checking up on it just because I feel like we could possibly get a second book all about Jade's sister. I'm pretty sure she works in the medical field though, and I feel like it would be really fun to get a book on her story. We will see what happens with that. But those are the 4 books I read in the month of August. It's a very calm and relaxing reading month. I'm excited though to see what we do in the month of September, which brings us to my September TBR. It's pretty hefty, but also very hopeful. Lots of the books on my September TBR are books that are a part of series, they're new releases, and really just books I've had my eye on all year and have patiently been waiting for. First one we have is Wildcard by Elsie Silver. This is book 4 in the Rose Hill series. It's so crazy that I have this book because I feel like we just read book 3. That one was really fun. It was kind of revolving around a professional wrestler. It ended up being like 2 stars for me, which was really shocking because Elsie Silver is one of my favorite authors, I would say. I loved her Chestnut Spring series, and honestly, I really did enjoy the first 2 books in her Rose Hill series, but book 3 definitely threw me for a little whirl, and now we're on to book 4, which I feel like could be really fun. Our MMC in this, Sebastian, gives off a very mysterious vibe throughout the first few books in the series, and you're kind of wondering like what his deal is, what his connection is to the town, and specifically what his connection is to our FMC, who is Gwen. And throughout the first few books we get a lot of Gwen scenes. She is so sweet. I love her character. I've been waiting for her story and Bash's story for so long. What's really catching my eye right now with this book though is on the back it says, are you ready for this? Unfortunately for Gwen, he's also her ex-boyfriend's dad. I'm sorry, what? What are we getting ourselves into with this? I don't know, but I'm excited. I have high hopes for it. I feel like it's gonna be a very crazy and fun romance read. Next up we have A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. Book 1 is A Study in Drowning, which I read last summertime. It was such a different book than what I thought it was. I think I initially thought going into it was gonna be a fun, dark academia romantasy, and then I went into it and it ended up being so much more than that. I feel like something that I didn't know about Ava Reed but I really enjoyed in that book was how heavy she was on feminism. Our FMC in this is Effie, and in book 1 she basically really wants to be a writer, but women aren't necessarily allowed to be in the program in college, so she ends up having to sign up to be an architect, which I thought was really interesting. And she takes on this assignment to go to one of her favorite author's estates and redesign it after he passes away. Really, she goes there hoping to write something about him, what happened to him, and basically uncover some of his secrets. There were so many moments when reading it where I was kind of on the edge of my seat. I was a little bit scared and spooked out because there is like this monster creature in book 1 too that is created by the author of our FMC's favorite books. Our MMC Preston was wow. That's like the best way I can explain him, and he basically is a writer in book 1 who goes to the estate to write about this late author, and the two of them end up teaming up with one another to uncover all these secrets and mysteries about his estate. Truly some crazy stuff happens in book 1, but this is book 2. I had no idea there was even going to be a book 2, and Effie and Preston are back to uncover some more mysteries together. I'm really excited about this one just because I think Ava Reed's writing style is very unique, and book 1 was a little bit hard for me to get into, but because I'm more familiar with her writing style now, I'm super hopeful for this one. Also, let's take a moment for the cover. It is absolutely stunning. We also have some beautiful printed edges on here. Next up, we have The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. This is by Bridget Knightley, and I had no idea until a previous video of mine that this is supposedly supposed to be kind of like a twist on Draco and Hermione from Harry Potter, which I think is so funny because so many people literally ship the two of them together. When so many people reached out and said that, I got really excited because I had no idea, and I already think the story itself sounds so fascinating. Obviously, we're gonna have an enemies to lovers in here, and you guys know that's one of my favorite tropes when it comes to romance. Loyalties are tested in this slow burn enemies to lovers romantasy, following an assassin and a healer forced to work together to cure a fatal disease while resisting the urge to kill each other, or worse, fall in love. RMC in this is a part of a group of assassins. He ends up getting really sick or falling ill, and he needs a really good healer. Well, the healer he specifically needs ends up being a part of like an enemy faction, and it happens to be our FMC. So I'm really excited to see how this kind of plays out. Next up, we have Fearful by Lauren Roberts. It's a powerless story, and I am so excited to read this book because I feel like the other novella she put out is honestly so good. I was obsessed with it. I love Dina so much. So I'm really excited to jump into this one and see what characters she covers and how it kind of intertwines with the final book in the series. I'm sure no one is surprised here. We have Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This is the 3rd book in her Assistant to the Villain series, and I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite fantasy series I have read in the longest time, and I've patiently been waiting for this one. I think it may be one of the first books we read in the month of September, just because I'm so excited to jump back into this storyline, jump back into these characters, and just see what's gonna happen. This is all about Evie Sage and her being the assistant to the villain. It is a series that I rave about all the time on my channel. If you have not read these books yet, you need them in your life, guys. If you're looking for something new and fun, this is such a great series. It has laugh out loud moments as well as some of the best romance scenes I think I have ever read in the history of reading romance books. Our character dynamic and development in this series is absolutely incredible. Our FMC is this adorable little ball of sunshine who also has a really badass side to her. And then we have our MMC, who is the villain. He is supposed to be the scariest man in the kingdom, and he truly does scare everyone in the kingdom, even his entire work staff. But things start to change when he realizes the one person he doesn't scare is Miss Evie Sage. So I am really excited to jump into this. And then of course, just the backwards fairy tale vibes. You know, you're not falling in love with a prince or a king in this, you're falling in love with the villain. So fun. I could not recommend it enough. Book 3, I have no idea what it's gonna be about, but I know I'm gonna love it. Last but not least, we have Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. I got this book book early through Book of the Month, and I am so excited for it. Another one of my favorite authors, especially in that romantasy department. This is her newest book though, and I am so excited to jump into the world because I feel like Stephanie Garber is probably one of the best writers when it comes to creating beautiful, scenic, magical worlds. I feel like paired along with her writing style too, you just feel like you're actually in those worlds. You feel like you're in her stories. Basically, I think she does a really good job at immersing readers into the stories and the characters. I'm so excited for this book though. I have to say the cover of it is very different from what I thought the cover would be, but I think it's gonna be really cool. It does start off with a class in an old movie theater, so the vibes already being set. If I'm seeing this is Holland, and she is taking a class that the professor talks a lot about myths and legends and magic. Everyone thinks they're fake though, they don't believe it, but Holland does believe it, and she does believe in magic. So what ends up happening is Holland tracks down one of the local legends from one of her professor's stories, and when she meets him, she finds out the exact day and time that she will die, unless she finds a hidden object that the man is looking for. So the whole story revolves around Holland trying to find this object within the next 24 hours, and along the way finds out a whole bunch of people are lying to her and trying to deceive her, but she also finds help in a stranger who assures her that he just wants to help her, which also brings us to our MMC. I feel like the plot twist in it is going to be very crazy just from reading the synopsis, mainly because this stranger that is supposed to be helping Holland, I feel like something is going to end up being twisted at the end with him. I'm so excited to jump into that story. I feel like it's going to be perfect for cozy season and the month of September. But with all that being said, that brings us to the end of today's video, the end of my September TBR. I told you guys I have a very good mix of very cozy, fun reads for the month of September. All books that I am very excited for. You guys know though, I'm always on the hunt for new fun reads, so leave all your book recommendations in the comment section for me because I love going through and picking out books from your recommendations. With all that being said, because I've been yapping for a very long time, I love you guys so very much, and I will see you in the next cozy video.